Hi everyone, sorry about the long time since my last update, but I've been away on holiday for a week. So anyway, I'm back in the saddle now, and so I thought we'd do another video update in the programming series. If you remember, what we're doing at the moment is writing a little script to do a trailing stop. And as I said in the last video, this is one that's going to take a few lessons to do because it's a bit complicated. So let's just go over where we've got to. So we have the script and we have one input, which is how many bars we want to trail. We will eventually modify the script so it doesn't just do trailing n bars, but all sorts of other trails as well. But for now, it's just going to be trailing the last, 5 or whatever bars, low or high, depending on whether it's a long or a short. So we do this usual loop over all the orders we've got here. And then we select the order, check it's in the that the symbol is actually the one that we drop the script into, and then we look to see whether it's a buy. If it's a buy, you want to have the lowest low or the last n bars trail. Check that we successfully found the lowest low, and then if so, we get the value of the lowest low, make it 1 point. So 1 pip lower than that, and modify the order, and vice versa for the short side. Okay, so that's where we got to. Now, in this particular episode, what I'm going to do is not actually going to make any difference to the functionality, but I'm going to tidy up the code because we need to do this for what we're going to do next. Okay. So at the moment, we've got the start function, which is called at the start when the script is dropped in. And then we've got all this code which is handling the actual modifying of the orders. Now what I want to do is take all this functionality here and put it in a function. The reason being is we're going to need to call this particular set of code multiple times. And in order to make the code we're writing will get rather unwieldy if we don't do something like this. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to copy all this lot and paste it down. Paste it down here, and I'm going to call it and I'll give it a function name, and I'm going to call it modify trailing stop. Okay, and I'm going to make it a bool, so it's going to turn true or false. So it's going to true if it succeeded, and false if it didn't succeed. Now, a function always has some parameters. Well, it doesn't actually have to have some parameters, but in this case, we can give it some parameters. One is going to be the trail length, and then the other one is going to be the offset. Okay, I'll explain what those are in a moment. Okay, so let's look through this. I'm just going to change this. That's easy. More length. Let's try and get my spelling right. There we are. Okay, so the functionality there is the same as before, but I want to use this trail length parameter instead of the n bars trail. The n bars trail is defined up at the top there, and it's just much cleaner code if everything that's happening in the modified trail stop is self-contained, and the only way you can access it is through the parameters here. If you have global variable, this is called a global variable, one that all the code can see. If you have global variables interfering with it, then it just gets a bit more untidy, and it makes it more compact. Okay, so I've put this trail length parameter in there. The only other thing is this one, if you remember, is that this is the offset. So I'm assuming that a new bar has just started. So I want to start my counting what the lowest low is from 1 bar ago, and this is what I'm going to call the offset. So I'm going to put this in here. Okay, so like so. Okay, so I'm just going to tidy up. There's some gaps here which I don't like. Makes no difference to the thing. Right. Now the other thing is it's returning true or false. It's going to return true if it did something, and false if it didn't. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to have a variable here, which I'm going to call return value, which I'm going to make, sorry, it's bool, not bol. I'm going to make it equal to false. Okay, and then I'm going to return this return value at the end. Return my return value, okay? Return value is not a very helpful name. Let's call it success, okay? So, basically, if this code, as the code stands at the moment, we're going to return false because the success variable is always false. Now, if I actually manage to modify one of these things, then I'm going to set the success variable to true. Okay. So what this is saying is and I'll do it for both the long and the short, like that. Okay. So basically, what this is saying is going through all the orders. Remember, which includes positions. And if I found one that matches my criteria, it's actually in the script. Script is it's in the chart in which I dropped the script, and I've managed to modify it successfully. Then I'm going to set the success variable to true. So say yes, I have managed to do that. Okay, so I'm doing so. If there aren't any actual long or short positions, then the success variable will never be changed. So it'll stay as its original value, which is false, and will return false. So this function now is not only doing the modifying, it's also telling you whether there were actually any positions to modify. Okay, because we're going to need that information as part of our thing. So okay, so that's that. Now all this here we no longer need. Now what I'm just going to show you something is that I'm about to delete all this code, but just before I do that, I'm just going to do what's called commenting it out. Okay, and if I put this slash and then a star, then a star and a slash, everything between those is considered to be a comment. So basically, the compiler ignores it. It's just meant to be stuff that I've written for my own benefit. Okay, so I'm going to do that now, just while I do this next change, just in case I make a mistake. Okay, so now instead of when I call this function, instead of doing all that, it's going to. So when we call the onStart function, instead of doing what we did there, I'm now going to call my modify trailing stop thing. Sorry, that's done in the wrong place. It'll teach me. I meant to do it there. Modify trailing stop. Okay, and now I've got two parameters. One is going to be this input here, and one is going. One in right. Let me just write it first, and I'll explain what I'm doing. Okay, I'll call it OK. Right, so what I'm now doing is I'm calling this function modify trailing stop. I'm going to use the nbars trail as the input parameter, and I'm going to use the offset as 1, and I'm going to have a variable Boolean variable OK, which I'm defining there, and I'm going to put in that Boolean variable the outcome of whether I manage to modify the stop or not. Okay. Now, as it stands at the moment, this code isn't actually doing anything that I wasn't doing before. However, it is going to make it very useful for the next stage. Okay, so let's just check I've compiled this. Okay, that looks all right. Good. Let's go to my script, my chart. Let's just whack on a short position in gold. There it is. Now where's my script? Where are we? My third script. Okay, and I want a 5-bar trail on the short side. Do that, and lo and behold, there is my trail. Okay, and it should be so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's the highest value, and the high there is, you can see, 89.24, and my stop is 1 point above that, 89.25. So there you go. So that is all working as you'd expect, because I haven't actually changed any of the functionality. So now that we've done that, let me just delete this. You see this bit I commented out. Now we know it's all working. I can safely delete that, knowing that it all works. Okay, so now if we look at how the code looks now, you see it's much neater. You've now got this function modified trailing stop, which will put in a stop of nbars length away for whatever positions I happen to have for this particular chart. Okay, so that's a useful function to have, because when we're doing, the reason why I've done it like this is because we're next going to be doing our trailing stop where we're going to adjust it every time a new bar is formed. I'm going to need to call this function repeatedly, so it's much easier to have it written like this. So there you go. That's the next stage. I'll do part 3 in the next few days, and we should be getting there. Okay, if you've got any questions, as always, do ask, and I'm only happy to answer them. Okay, bye for now.